It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. The Sports Hit List presents Smoking Mirrors with Declan Krogman and the Polius Brothers, Greg and Stefan, breaking down the biggest news in sports, giving you the stories behind the story. Here for all the smoke, all the time, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Good afternoon and welcome to Smoke and Mirrors, presented by the Sports Hit List on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. I'm your host, Stephen Polius, alongside my fellow host, Declan Krogman and Greg Polius. How you guys doing today? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. But first of all, happy birthday, my guy. And, you know, I didn't get a chance to see you, but I did get to pick up something up for you. I got you right here.
Does that say Colossal IPA?
Yes, it does.
Wow.
Lagunitas Maximus.
Sponsorship?
All right. Okay.
That's what
Happy
plug right
birthday,
there.
Steph.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know, right?
Appreciate it.
All right. Shout out to Lagunitas for that.
Thank you. Appreciate the birthday wishes, y'all. How you doing, Deck? How's your week been?
It's been going. I mean, it's been pretty good. Busy week, but you know, fun week as Greg's already getting a sipping on this Friday.
Already know.
He's having some
Definitely.
fun. We're gonna have some
That's
fun
the
stuff.
stuff.
You know what? I mean, happy birthday, Steph. Though, in all seriousness, love you,
Thank
bro.
you.
So glad to be doing this.
Love you too, man.
I'm really happy to be on air for your 25th birthday, and
25th.
excited.
25th. I wish. Oh, I look so young.
You got the baby face, but
I do.
nah.
I got out the shower late to shave. You know, whatever, man.
It's just 3-1 for me. But
Wow, look at this. You Mike
yeah.
Piazza.
Yep. Good old 3-1. But yeah, let's thank you for the love. It's a great way to start. Let's get into it. Like you said, Deck, it's been a busy week. I think for you personally, but I think just in sports. And as everyone knows, 25th was the trade deadline, the NBA, and there was a lot of movement, a lot of big moves here. I'll just call out a few. You have Victor Oladipo that went to Miami for Avery Bradley and Kelly Olynyk, as well as a draft swap. I don't know if it was announced which draft picks are going to swap, but it's a draft swap. And interesting enough that Victor Oladipo was traded to Houston in that James Harden trade. So he's moving twice in the same year. And on a more emotional note, you have Gary Harris and RJ Hampton from Denver getting, as well as a first-round pick of 2025, getting traded to the Magic for Aaron Gordon and a lesser-known player in Garrett Moore. Not shouldn't say lesser-known, more of a supporting role in Gary Clark. But emotional.
No, you can say lesser known. It's okay.
Yeah, like a role player. You go with a role player.
Role player, yeah. We can keep it nice on here. We got to get mean, you know. Gary Clark might watch the show.
He's in such a great mood because it's his birthday. He doesn't want to offend anyone.
I never offend people, I feel like.
Saki
I mean, I can't say. I don't think Greg and I could say the same, but
But yeah, just to finish off some of these more notable ones, you have JJ Redick, who wanted to be moved from the Pelicans, getting moved on to the Mavericks, and the Mavericks sending over a second round 2021 draft pick, as well as two other players. You know, and one of note for me was Lou Williams getting traded by the Clippers for a second round pick in cash for Rajon Rondo, which, you know,
that was surprising.
You said it was surprising?
I was surprised that Lou Will got moved. Draymond Green said that was like the best move of the deadline, in his opinion, the Clippers getting Rondo.
We're going to get into that.
Yeah, we definitely can.
Something.
We definitely can. And I think one more just want to put out there was, you know, George Hill. That's one of the first ones I saw, I think, in the beginning of the day, was George Hill getting traded to the Sixers from OKC. 3-team deal. So you have the Knicks, who receive a swingman in Terrence Ferguson. And then why you got to do all that, bro? Why you got to do all that?
In all fairness, I was like,
honestly, I had to look it up. I ain't going to hold you. Terrence, if you're watching this,
they heard they were in for Lonzo Ball, and they got all excited. Three-way trade with someone else.
Terrence, if you watch the show, bro, no beef, like no static. But yeah, you also have Tony Bradley, who was filling in for Embiid on the 76ers, getting sent over to OKC, as well as 2 second-round picks in 2025 over to OKC, and Austin Rivers from the Knicks going over to OKC as well. So
can we talk about OKC for a sec?
Jump on it. That was my last one. It's a lot of movement.
Wait, I don't know. Before we get into OKC, did you mention Vooch going to the Bulls? That's one of the biggest deals of the day.
Yeah, no, you're right. I 100% missed it in my prep. I'm over here looking at my notes. Vooch didn't make Vooch, if you're watching too, man, it's not nothing against you. You a big name, so it's not like you small fry.
He's probably in a plane right now. I don't even think he's got service. So
he was one of the biggest name moved at the deadline.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah. I feel like the Oladipo trade didn't get as much.
Well, that's because people haven't seen Oladipo on the floor in a while, and when he was on the floor, it's not like he wanted to be there.
That's another thing.
That's true. I mean, why would he want to be there? In all fairness, like that team. Was us 20? What is it? Have they won yet? It's been like 20.
They lost. They lost 20 games. They won one. Did they win one? No, it wasn't 20 games.
I think it's at 20 right now.
No, it was at 20. No. When
I thought it was at 20 a few days ago.
No. John Wall had a triple double. I think when John Wall got his triple double, they won a game.
That wasn't when he got into the argument with Steven Silas and he got benched. That wasn't that game, right?
Nah. I don't think it was
Steven Silas, by the way, they really.
I know. You think? We said that in the beginning of the season. But before we even get into the deals, I'm going to get to you in a sec, Declan. But, Steph, in our fantasy league, it is the trade deadline today, and people are tired of you not responding to trades, myself included. All right, we have to stop this. We have to
I'm
stop
making
hold on.
moves today in the
Hold on. Okay. I'm going to defend myself right here because for there's a handful of people who have sent out trades to me, and if y'all are listening, y'all send some trash trades. I know my team hasn't been good, but technically I still have a chance. So when you want Embiid and you're giving me a bunch of your bench players, you think I'm going to say yes to that? If I let it sit there, it's because it was disrespectful. If I declined it, it's because I thought you tried, but I didn't like it. And Greg, you're right. You sent me one. And I told you I was going to look at it. It's been a busy end of the week for me. I'm just saying, all right? It is. I'm not trying to use that card. It's my birthday week. So in all fairness, I will look at your trade. For everyone else that has not received an accepted trade from me, which is everyone else because I have not accepted another trade, I'm sorry, but come harder next time.
We got breaking news.
Ooh,
what?
Hit me.
The Miami Dolphins have traded the number 3 overall pick to the San Francisco 49ers.
Holy smokes. Wow.
For the number 12 pick, a 2021 third-round pick, and first-round picks in 2022 and 2023. A blockbuster deal with major ramifications to come, as per Adam Schefter. Wow. Sorry to throw us off track from the NBA, but
you heard it here second, I guess, on Smoke and Mirrors. No, it's a good breaking news right there.
Yeah, I think just to touch on that real quick. So does that mean that San Fran is definitely taking a quarterback and the Jimmy Garoppolo era is done in San Fran?
Zach Wilson, Justin Fields. I mean,
that's got to be the implication. Why else are you going that high?
Yeah, I think it's either or. So say the Jets take Fields, then Wilson goes 3, or vice versa.
I don't see the Jets doing that though. I think they're honestly going to go Wilson, or potentially draft. I don't know if they'll draft a lineman, but I could see them doing something like that if they really want to build a core.
Yeah, the lineman would make sense.
Sewell, I feel like, would be their guy. I see it's either Wilson, Sewell. They could also trade out of it too to Carolina if Carolina comes up to grab Wilson. There's a lot of moves there.
Oh man, we already got a segment for Monday's show.
Yeah. Well, not to get off track. All right, we have the NFL coming up. Absolutely. We got time, so let's get back into these NBA trades. Greg, I know you were chomping at the bits to talk about this. So, what are your thoughts on all this movement?
One, I love the movement. I love the movement because it makes the league fun to me.
Definitely.
I'm gonna talk to the negative aspect of the movement after that. But I think one of the bigger moves is Denver trying to solidify themselves as contenders. Right? They came really close last year. Getting a wing like Aaron Gordon, who I think hasn't really showcased his full potential yet, is huge. And they didn't give up Michael Porter Jr. or Paul Millsap. Paul Millsap is an old vet, but that plays well in the playoffs. And they got a lot of frontline depth. And one of the reasons the Lakers were hard to beat last year was because of their depth and their length. And And they also Nuggets got JaVale McGee, which is huge.
JaVale
experience.
McGee.
Championship experience, another big man, and they really solidified that.
He's come back home.
Yeah, he's come back home. The Boston Celtics, Carl's Boston Celtics. I honestly don't understand what they're doing. Well, I don't really consider you a real Celtics fan. I'm sorry.
I'm not a real Celtics fan. Like I said, I'm a Celtics fan. Like Taco Bell's Mexican food. I'm inauthentic in my Celtics.
So Carl has been calling for Danny Ainge's head for what I think is like the last 5 years. Shout out to Carl and the Sports Hit List on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. But I think he's right. I don't understand what getting Evan Fournier does for them. I don't. I think that to me, it's neither here nor there. It doesn't move the needle for them in terms of because right now they're like sitting at the 8th seed. They're trying to be contenders. Evan Fournier is not going to make you a contender. And you get Mo Wagner, who's nice. He's a younger version of Daniel Tice, but he doesn't rebound or block shots as well. He can hit the three better than Daniel Tice, but is Mo Wagner the difference maker? What I am happy, though, as an avid fantasy player, is that the Time Lord Robert Williams is finally going to get his chance to get more than 20 minutes a game because he's been so consistent in providing across, a bunch of different categories, or especially defensive ones. And Brad Stevens just hasn't given him the minutes. So now he has the opportunity with Tristan Thompson out with the COVID health and safety protocols and Mo Wagner, who is not ready to start on this team. So it's his time to shine.
You have him in fantasy? I got to ask. He seemed very invested.
I had him once. I released him because of the minutes thing, and then Anthony Mullen picked him up right when I was going to pick him up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And then in our other league, I got sniped on him as well. But I am very invested in watching him because I think he can be a really productive big man for them.
Speaking of guys that got sniped, Myers Leonard has been waived by OKC.
Yeah, Eric called that. Eric actually said, he wasn't going to play a game. He's going to get waived. There was something in his contract. Go ahead,
yeah, I think if anything, it was just that OKC couldn't find anyone that would actually trade for him. He had no value truly at this point, so that's why they held on to him. No, well, I mean, again, as Declan said, and on a prior show, it wasn't that he was bad, right? Like he was a role player. He could have served a purpose, but he's not playing this season, so it doesn't make sense. No one's trumping. Like I said, no one's excited for Myers Leonard. Yeah. So, I could see why they waived him, but they held on to him long enough to see if maybe he could be involved in a package potentially.
You guys really missed my snipe pun too, because that's literally what he got.
No, definitely missed it. It went over my head.
I wonder if that kid who sniped him realized what happened afterwards. Like that snipe led to the stupid, vulgar language he used to.
It changed lives.
Yeah, it did.
It did. That's a fact. But just to kind of get back on track here and touch on some of these other prominent deals. In the comments, shout out to Sal. He's asking where LaMarcus Aldridge is going. Frankly, question. I think LaMarcus is a bum. Where he goes doesn't matter.
Well, it looks like Miami's a front runner for Aldridge.
Yeah,
though.
It'll be the equivalent of Blake on the Nets. We see Blake got his first dunk in 3 years, and that was
I was going to say he got a dunk. I'm just saying he got a dunk.
Blake hasn't even with James Harden, no KD and no Kyrie. Where was Blake Griffin? Nowhere to be found. He was Casper. He's not relevant anymore.
You want to give the number one though?
No, LaMarcus Aldridge stinks. And
no, I'm talking about Blake.
No, Blake stinks too. They both stink. They're past their prime. They're cogs in a machine. That's it.
I don't appreciate you talking about my fantasy team first of all because because
your fantasy team also stinks. So there's that.
Well, you know what, Greg? You want to know how I got into this league? It was playoff Sunday in football, and I forget it. Maybe it was Breeze Brady, and an hour before the draft, he's like, "Can you please join my league?" And I'm just like, you know what? Whatever. Fine.
Wow.
So I was begged to join the league.
First of all, you're gonna stop putting it out there like that because you what you're doing is our cousin Steph and I cousin Lance, who used to coach with us, wanted to get the band back together and have a fantasy league because when we coached, we used to do fantasy leagues, and we only wanted Thunder players, and it was like a surprise to Lance because he missed the kids. And yes, Declan, you're still a kid.
Definitely.
I mean, obviously. I
Um,
still use a booster seat.
that is why I reached out to you for the
league.
league, because I wanted to keep it
Yeah,
to
okay.
those Thunder people and just keep it nice like that. But that's neither here nor there.
Fun. All right. I have Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan, and Blake Griffin, by the
Oh
way.
no, I
caught
did,
Jordan.
Ziggy, I didn't say they stink because they're in their prime. I said they're out of their prime and
Yeah.
they're no longer relevant. They stink now. In their prime, they were all-stars.
Presently.
Blake's relevant though, to an extent.
To where? To what? Have you seen Blake?
Yeah, but he's gonna be a nice little role player.
Do you know what
championship team? That's relevance.
No, Blake is a name. He is a shell.
Yeah, a relevant name. People know.
Himself.
I can agree with Greg on that. Like, he is a name. He doesn't really he's not like he's a productive role player. You're hoping that you potentially can squeeze something out of Blake. The fact that him dunking was a big, like, a headline is really sad in and of itself. When we spoke about Blake the first time, I was like, I can see him potentially doing something, but with his limited minutes, like, you're hoping that he could just maybe give you some points, maybe pull down an important board. Like, it's going to be a moment. It's going to be moments in the game where maybe Blake can help you, but Blake isn't going to really be the contributor that people want him to.
Just to give you an idea of how irrelevant Blake Griffin is. You ever heard of Alize Johnson? Anybody on the panel?
No.
What do you say?
Exactly.
I didn't hear what you said.
Johnson. He was signed to a 10-day contract by the Nets, and on his 8th day, when none of the Nets stars was playing, he had 23 and 15. That guy is more relevant and got more playing time than Blake Griffin, who again is a shell. There's no reason.
I mean, I don't think anybody's debating him being a shell, but honestly, I don't know about you, Steph. Greg, I'm just waiting for you to say that they should lower the rim for Blake Griffin, like you tried to say with the WNBA. I'm just waiting for it, honestly.
Touche. You know what? I'm gonna let you have that.
So that was a great zinger. I appreciate you, Declan, for that. That was really good. I like the callback. Deck, do you have any trades that stuck out to you? Anything that was excited for? Maybe you were surprised by? I think you mentioned Rondo.
Yeah, the Rondo one
that was a great move.
I thought it was a really good move for Rondo. Even at this point, he's still a leader. He still can pass the ball really well. No one's expecting him to score 20 points a game. He's gonna get his little assists. He's gonna be a leader, and I think he's a nice asset for the Clippers. To be perfectly honest with you guys, I don't know if I have anything that's surprising. Besides, I felt bad for Jamal Murray yesterday.
Yeah, because him and Gary Harris played together for the whole time. I'm gonna get to that in a second, but they didn't get Rondo for regular season. They got him for, quote unquote, playoff Rondo to run the offense in the playoffs, to give them that veteran leadership. That's why they got him. So that's a great move by them. The two other moves I want to touch on is Gary Trent Jr. actually in his third year getting traded from Portland to Toronto, just like his dad did in his third year, which is kind of a wild stat.
It was something like they both were on their 41st game.
Serendipitous.
Yeah.
It was weird.
It's kind of crazy. We only got 2 to 3 minutes before break, so I'm going to touch on it real quick. But what you said, Declan, that was really important to me is, you feel bad for Jamal Murray. And a lot of times we as fans, we get excited for the trade deadline, but fans get so upset when players request trades or want out of a situation. And they tell them they're ungrateful. But here you have organizations like Orlando and Denver who've traded away guys who've made lives in these cities, who've made families in these cities, and in the realm of it's better for business. But when a player does what's better for him, for his business and his brand, it's a problem. And I have issue with that. As fans, we need to take a step back and realize these players are still human. They have feelings, they have emotions, right? And they're also going to do what's best for them. So let's not, the next time a player demand a trade, go out there and try to tarnish that player for just namesake of saying, hey, he's undeserving of this. We got to be better than that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you're right. It just falls into the category of it's a business, and there's tons of money being involved, tons of money being moved. And at the end of the day, and it's so cliche to say it, but there really is. I feel like there's nothing that can be done. And you know what? I feel like the NBA is enough of a player league as it is. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm sorry. Garrison's in the comments. It said they needed Rondo because Paul George is sponsored by Charmin and playoff Rondo don't play that ish. Also, him and Manny said Aaron Gordon is trash. Essentially, Aaron Gordon is what he is, and I'm not buying that. I think Aaron Gordon
years old still. I
think Aaron Gordon could be of note to that offense.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. He's definitely a contributor.
I want the Celtics to grab him. Sorry to cut you off, Steph. And I see a comment. Someone says happy birthday to Steph with two hard Fs. You know what? I've been hanging out with you way too much because I had to do a project for Under Armour, and I may or may not have, when I was writing it, spelled Steph Curry with 2 Fs. And I was damn you, Polius, I'm done.
Hey, honestly, that's love. I appreciate that. 2 hard Fs, though. Always remember that.
These 2 hard Fs.
All right.
But yeah, so with that being said, you guys covered a lot of it. We're going to go on a break. Don't go anywhere, guys. Stay locked in. It's the Smoke and Mirrors presented by the Sports Hit List on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. We'll be right back.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is Smoke and Mirrors on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Welcome back. You're listening to and watching Smoke and Mirrors presented by the Sports Hit List on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. I'm your host, Stephen Polius, alongside my fellow hosts, Declan Krogman and Greg Polius. So we covered the NBA trade deadline. It's saying with NBA, we're going to talk about MVPs, the MVP discussion, since we're getting around that time in the season. You know, I went and looked at the Kia MVP ladder, which is interesting. I want to see if you guys agree with this. They have Jokic at 1, Giannis at 2, Dame at 3, LeBron, Embiid, Harden, Luka, Kawhi, Chris Paul, then Steph Curry to round it out at 10. So that's the order they're going. It obviously changes, you know, as the games go along. But how do you feel about that order? Do you think that Jokic is the front runner? I mean, he's averaging, 27, 11, 8.5 pretty much, and 1.6 steals. He's been crushing it. He has about 12 triple doubles on the season. Impressive, coming from even last season, which was a great season for him. Do you agree with that? Do you have any issues with that lineup? Are there any sleepers that aren't in there that you think should be? Deck, I'll throw it to you.
Yeah, I think that lineup is kind of weird, to be honest, because I would have Harden in the top 3 at worst, my opinion. But I do have Jokic as the MVP. And I think, Steph, you alluded to it best when you said what he's averaging right now. He's averaging 27 points, double-digit rebounds, and 8.5 assists from a big man. I mean, he's he's balling. He really is. And right now, he's the reason they're in contention. So that's why he's my number 1 right now.
Gotcha. What about you, Greg? What are you thinking? What are your thoughts?
I think. Well, before I get into anything, this 9% ABV is hitting, so I'm very excited.
You gotta be kidding me.
The plug. He's just plugging them away, man. I get that money.
I know, right? I know. I should tag him on Twitter.
It's not a mom and pop ad, bro.
You funny. You funny, Deck.
You on it today, Deck. I'll give you that.
Appreciate
but so here's the thing with the NBA MVP. More so than any other major sport, there's so much politics surrounding the voting that I don't think it always goes to who it should go to.
It never does.
Yeah, I think statistically, yes, Jokic is number 1. You know, the Joker is having statistically arguably the best season, of anyone. But for me personally, I got Dame in the number 1 spot. It's Dame time, Dame dollar, because I don't know if you guys realize Dame was missing C.J. McCollum for weeks.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. It's impressive. The fact that they're in contention, that he's been keeping them afloat, has been Dame night in and night out. And he has some naggy injuries, too.
Hold on. Carl, Carl, stay out of this. All right. He said it's not politics. It goes to the top seeded player. That's part of the politics because it goes to sometimes players who don't deserve it. Do you not understand what politics means, Carl? Come on, bro. Be better than this. I expect media man. I expect better from you.
Boss man.
Don't
I wanted him to come on the show.
Boss,
I didn't
boss.
come on.
We wanted him to come on and talk about his hapless Celtics, but he wasn't in the mood to do that.
He was very upset.
All I want to say is, boss man Carl, I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for being on and listening and watching.
Look at this
Don't
guy.
let what Greg says affect this show.
That's good. Yeah, still tune in. There's still two of us that you're cool with.
I'm a company man.
But yeah, CJ.
Talk about politics.
I know, right? Nurkic hasn't. Well, I don't even think Nurkic's played 20 games, if that.
Yeah.
They're missing their best big man. Enes Kanter's filled in really well, so shout out to him.
He's been amazing, honestly, in his steed. And I think when Nurkic when he was healthy, he wasn't even averaging double at that point.
No, he wasn't. I mean, I think he was still trying to fit in with Kanter and the rotations out there. But what Dame has been able to do and just keep that team afloat and competitive has to be taken into account. But I don't think it will because, the narratives are going to be with the Joker and Harden. I think at the end of the day, it's going to be Joker, Harden, or LeBron's out for 4 to 6 weeks, so that kind of puts him that. Or who was the third? Giannis.
Giannis is second.
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be theirs to lose.
I think they'll market.
I think it should be Dame.
I think they'll market Giannis because he's Giannis and he's won back-to-back. But I don't see him. I don't see him. Not that he's not a threat, but I don't see him surpassing the Joker or James Harden.
Also,
the Joker and the beard.
I agree with that.
I just like to put it out there. If the Sixers finish with the first seed with no Embiid down the stretch, I don't think he deserves MVP.
They've won, I think, was it 8 out of 10 or 7 out of 10 since he's been injured?
I think
they're doing well without him.
And shout out to me and Carl's fellow St. Mary's graduate, class 05, Danny Green last night, going off on his Lakers. 8 threes, 28 points.
Shout out your mans. Shout out your mans and your alma mater. I also think it's impressive. So Chris Paul made this list in his 16th season, averaging 8.7 assists, 15 points, like still productive, and sometimes a footnote. But I know, Carl, there's a beef. I found that to be very impressive, and I agree with you.
We got some more breaking news.
Oh, all right. Hit me with it.
Here we go. The Eagles have traded their 6th overall pick.
What?
To the Dolphins.
Yeah.
As of 58 seconds ago.
Yo.
For the number 12 pick that they just got from the Niners.
Yeah.
And their 2022 first-round pick. They also swapped mid-round picks. I believe it was the 3rd round with the 156 and the 123.
So they traded down to 12, right? Yeah. And then traded back up to 6 and gave away the 12.
Just to recap, the Dolphins, as of a half an hour ago, the Dolphins had the 3, the Eagles had the 6, and the Niners had the 12. The Niners traded with the Dolphins for the 3. The Dolphins are now in the 12. Obviously, other packages were being included in that. There are other assets. Now the Eagles trade their 6 to go to the 12 spot for the Dolphins to go at 6. What?
So now it makes you wonder, right? What is the Dolphins' play here?
Yeah.
Are they looking at a Trey Lance, or are they looking at like a Devontae Smith? Like what's the play here?
Yeah, I think this is a receiver move because everyone had the Eagles looking at either Surtain at the corner spot, or I didn't really think that was going to happen, but I did hear some of the smoke about that. Mirror. I almost said mirrors. Wow, that's insane. Smoke and mirrors. Smith or Waddle, and the Niners just said Jimmy G's their guy. He's here to stay. So
really,
yeah, I don't buy any of that.
Yeah,
you don't trade up to the 3rd pick in a quarterback heavy draft like this.
That's lip service.
I don't believe. I'm not buying any of that.
That's weird. For the Giants, though, maybe this means a receiver down to 11.
You stop it, because at this point, you guys are either going to draft O-line or you're going to draft in the trenches, in my opinion, or maybe
no, I could see them going for picks. I could see them going for Pitts. Like, this doesn't take them out of the running for.
If Pitts, honestly, if Pitts is there and the Giants don't take him, Dave Gettleman should be fired on the spot. He should have already been fired.
There's a lot of reasons Dave Gettleman should have been fired, though.
He should have been fired the second the Giants decided to bring in a guy from Boston.
Something that's real interesting with the Eagles for me. They have gotten their picks wrong at wide receiver the last 2 years. They missed out on Justin Jefferson and DK Metcalf, who both went right after they picked in back-to-back drafts. Are they here? And also, I keep seeing Surtain mock to the Cowboys at 10. That's where it looks like he's going to land because the Eagles need more help on offense than they do on defense, in my opinion.
Yes. Especially if you're going to go with the young quarterback. I know Flacco just said that they're going to compete for the spot, but
No,
I mean, he's not wrong though.
I mean,
I actually disagree. I think it's a competition.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, especially if
I just have a hard time seeing what Flacco did with the Jets. I think the competition going in is going to be there. It's going to favor. It's not going to favor Flacco though.
Here's the thing. I don't think any player, Adam Gase, on offense can be considered, like that can be held against them.
Yeah.
But didn't Flacco come over from Denver before that, though?
Yeah, but I'm talking about
his anything out there.
I mean, he was also he also took them to 500 when Lamar Jackson took over.
Shout out to Richard Carlo in the comments. He said something that was actually interesting. Dolphins making these moves to make a play at Russell Wilson. I don't see it, but that's an interesting dynamic.
That
is interesting.
Yeah,
they're getting capital. And Eric just mentioned the Dolphins got paid for the 3. Did you guys like it or not? Here's one thing I'd like to say. The Dolphins have turned that trade with the Texans for Laramie Tunsil now into 4 first-round picks. That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, this is a perfect segue to our next topic about the ineptitude of the Texans brass. But Jesus Christ. Oh, my God. Yeah, I mean, have we ever seen an organization in any sport that has squandered such talent in their prime?
Potentially, not that I can think of right now. So I'm gonna give it to Houston for now. I feel like potentially there has been, but it's just a debacle there as far as their front office and how they've managed to just lose or just poorly manage this the talent that they've had.
It's bad. They might as well change their name to the Oilers and start all over.
But to have a player like J.J. Watt, who was so loved Houston, loved playing for that team, to have him, apologizing at the end of the season to Sean Watson and then feeling that dejected, it just shows you how poorly the front office has connected with the players.
There's something missing between the personnel and the front office.
You did mention that we were. It's a segue. We do have March Madness. Yeah, the second round finish up. Pretty much, yeah. Only 2 upsets. It wasn't as bracket busting as the first round, and even the portions of the second round. You had 7th seed Oregon defeating the 2nd seed, Iowa, and then USC at the 6th seed defeating Kansas.
Jesus, the Big Ten just they suffer upsets every year.
Yeah, I mean it's a damn shame. The one Cinderella story we did have that was looking like it was really nice was Maryland at the 10th seed going against Alabama, but they ended up losing. But the Sweet 16 is locked in now.
Yeah, it starts back up tomorrow. I'm excited.
Steph, Eric, he wants to know what you have on your shirt. Ducks? Is it pickles? Is it oranges?
It's this floral, more like Hawaiian theme.
You're showing off your bust.
Thank you for asking the very important questions and the most newsworthy topic.
I appreciate you being locked in, Eric, because I didn't mention it at the top of the show, and you brought it back 41 minutes in. Thank you.
I get very upset when Eric's not here, by the way. I want to send out an Amber Alert. I need him here. It's unbelievable.
Deck, what you're looking forward to in the Sweet 16? Any teams? Do you have any upset since you were the upset king this bracket?
I am the upset king. I appreciate you saying that. I had Oregon over Iowa in one of my brackets. Otherwise, I had Iowa going to the Final Four in the other one, and that's kind of trash. But what are you going to do? I guess that's what I'm so done with Iowa. My friend goes there. He was beside himself the other day. He was ready to fire the coach. We wasted the best player in the country's talent. First of all, Luka Garza, his NBA stock for the best player in the country. I mean, I don't know about that. The girl on Iowa, the freshman, has a better WNBA stock. At least from what Kevin Durant said, than this guy Luka Garza does. But yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what I really look to see. I'd like to see Loyola Chicago winning. I have them in the Elite 8, so it'd be nice to see them get a win against another kind of storied upset team. But yeah, that's what I got for March Madness.
So what about you, Greg?
Yeah, I still have Gonzaga taking it all. I think I would like to see Loyola Chicago. Everybody likes to see the upsets, but I still got the Zags taking it all. And I think they're kind of putting themselves in blue blood territory in terms of basketball, college basketball programs.
This guy talking about Tom Selleck again. I love Sister Jean. She's 101 years old. Her pregame speech, a pregame prayer, rather, she said that we'll be fine if we can, because if the other team doesn't convert 30% of their layups and I forget 40% of their 3-point shots. Very funny. That's funny. Manny has Michigan Wolverines all day.
He's a Michigan fan. He's biased. Oh, Manny is biased about everything he says.
I forgot to say that there's absolutely no stock that is going to be taken into that comment. I thought maybe he was going out on a limb. I forgot yet again. That's like when he says the 5-11 Raiders are going to go to the playoffs next year. So no stock whatsoever.
Shots fired.
Absolutely.
Nice. Well, we'll wrap it up there. We're about to go to commercial break. Everyone, like I said, stay locked in. This is Smoke and Mirrors, presented by the Sports Hit List on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. We'll be back.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is Smoke and Mirrors on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Smoke and Mirrors on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, presented by the Sports Hit List. I'm your host, Stephen Polius, alongside my fellow hosts, Declan Crosman and Greg Polius. So, we're wrapping up on our basketball tip. We're going to move into football right now and talk about the New York Jets and New York Giants in free agency. All right, there's been a lot of moves made. Declan, your Giants have been active, as our Jets have been. How are you feeling about your Giants? Do you like the move so far? Or is it
Greg, what do you guys say? I'm sorry.
No, you were muted, but you fixed it, so you're good.
Yeah, well, I was doing it because I didn't know if that was where the echo was coming, but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, John.
Nah, Declan's always been covered. He's never had an issue with muting and unmuting, so I think
I did in solidarity one time.
Shots fired. Heard you. Throwing subs. I got you. That's what we do.
Don't
make me take your six-pack back.
Wow. You think we take a birthday gift back? That's real petty.
No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that.
All I'm saying is that's on brand for you. I'm sure Manny's in the comments talking about you right now, because that's something you would do. I'm just saying, if you
first of all, I would never take your gift back. Don't do that to me.
I appreciate that, but you put those words into the universe. All I'm saying is, if you're trying to change your narrative, you can't be saying things like that out loud.
Take the gift back. Aren't you drinking it?
Oh no! I bought one for myself. You think so?
I got
how would it look if I buy him a whole 6-pack and then I drink one? That sucks.
Pretty funny, honestly. Give him a 5-pack. I'm just saying he's a lightweight. He doesn't need 6. Anyway.
Jack, what do you think about your Giants?
Yeah. Giants have had an excellent offseason. Better than the Jets, in my opinion, which is funny how those tables have turned. Yes, absolutely. So
here we go.
The Kenny Galladay signing is phenomenal.
I need you to relax.
Yeah.
4-12 will never look better next year for you guys, I promise. Anyway.
I mean, looking at these acquisitions, I wouldn't say it's a significant difference in the Jets and Giants, but continue. I
mean, here's what I'll say. First of all, the Giants getting Kenny Galladay is the best signing of the bunch. Second, the Adoree Jackson signing it's amazing how they got him. I mean, there's the Titans connection. He's going to be an excellent number 2. Besides, Bradbury's a top 5 corner in the league. He's excellent over there on the right side. Or honestly, he follows the number 1s. We saw him almost strip DK Metcalf after locking down. It seemed like every number 1 receiver.
He said, "Make it quick, Dick."
Yeah, well, I guess, I'm sorry. I don't want to cut off the monologue.
You're getting your Travis McKay on right now.
Yeah, I don't want to cut off Greg's monologue about Tevin Coleman and Sheldon Rankin. Excuse me. I didn't realize that's a question over the real New York team that's making moves.
Wow.
My God.
You see how he skipped over Corey Davis, though? You see that, right?
Okay, fine. I'll go to Corey Davis. Well, no, I was just going over the things that Corey Davis was 2 weeks ago. So, I mean, we can talk about Corey Davis.
It doesn't matter. It still happened.
No, we're talking about free agency acquisitions. So, it's all of them.
I was mentioning stuff that happened since Monday or on Monday. So that's where that came from. But that's all I got to say. The Giants have had an excellent free agency so far. I don't like losing Dalvin, but if they can get Clowney for a decent price, that's another hell of a move. I mean,
with what cap space? There's no way you could pay Clowney.
With what cap space did they get? With what cap space did they get Galladay and Jackson?
Yeah, no, they
But that's my
maneuvered
point.
pretty well.
Where are they
But I don't
getting
think they have
the
much more left. They don't have much more room to actually acquire a player like that. So I agree with Greg.
Yeah.
What I
Watch.
will say is with Jackson,
Earn
it's
the running.
interesting. They made him the 12th highest paid cornerback in the league, on his 3-year, $39 million deal. And, I mean, he played 3 games last season. Wasn't a great season. In 2018, 2019 were his better years. And he's a solid corner, it seems like. But, 12th in the league, paid, like highest paid. I don't know about that. That's your Gettleman. That's Gettleman for you, though. So there's that portion of it.
Overpaying for a guy that they need. I mean,
well, no, I get it. But you were really excited for it. I'm just saying that, I think that he's good. His last season obviously is indicative of what he can be. You're hoping that he pairs well with Bradbury. You left out that you guys picked up Kyle Rudolph on a 2-year deal. Aren't you excited about that? Some depth there, right? Re-signing Leonard Williams, John Ross for depth. You also have Devontae Booker. That's another running back, some running back depth. You have a running back.
I like Gallman instead of him, to be honest with you.
Gallman to me he was very solid, but again, you want to have someone besides him because I don't think there was much after Gallman. What was it, Devontae Freeman? Is he still?
Yeah, Devontae Freeman was bad. No, he actually signed with the Bills for the practice squad in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Devontae Freeman's nothing. I mean, I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean, like, nothing like there's really nothing there to talk about. I didn't mean that he's nothing himself, saying with the scheme, there's really nothing there. But yeah, the Booker move's pretty good. He'll be a good 3. They'll rotate back. So especially Saquon coming off the injury, you're not going to want to give him 25, 30 carries coming off the jump.
More committee in the beginning. Greg, all right, let's talk about the Jets. All right, Declan was taking a huge poop
I've had enough about the Giants.
As I should.
I don't know about as you should.
You do too much. You do too much.
Greg's had enough of the Giants for like 30 years now.
No, I haven't. It's when you do things like what you're doing in this very moment.
What did I say that was wrong?
Hold on. Greg, don't respond. Don't respond. Don't get sucked in. All right, don't get sucked in. This is me being biased as a Jets fan. Let's talk about the offseason. What are you excited about? The players, the acquisitions. We obviously have a headliner in Corey Davis. Tevin Coleman, as Declan mentioned, has been signed for 1-year deal, worth up to $2 million. Running back depth that they don't have. Let us know, Greg, how you're feeling about the Jets.
Well, I'm excited with this new coaching staff. I really like what they're putting together. And they're going to run a similar offense to how Kyle Shanahan ran it. But the thing that I'm most excited about is the draft, because we really want to see what Saleh and Joe Douglas can do when they combine their heads and figure out how this offense is going to be run. Whether we're going to go, QB at 1, or we're going to bolster our offense, there's a realm of possibilities. They could go O-line with Soul, Jamar Chase, who's supposed to be the best wide receiver prospect in the draft, Kyle Pitts, who's supposed to be a hybrid tight end that runs a 4-4. Also, shout out to my guy Delano. He thinks the Dolphins are actually going to take Pitts at 6. Which is interesting, and I see him going with Smith. As a Jets fan who has a son who is now a Dolphins fan, I cannot have the really Dolphins draft Kyle Pitts. We have a bet actually. We're gonna play a game of 2K.
Bet with your son.
Yes, I have a bet with my 7-year-old son. We're gonna play a game of 2K, which I played last night for the first time in like 20 years. And whoever wins has to get on video. If he beats me, I would have to say the Dolphins are better than Jets. And I would have to record it, and
That's
vice
cute.
versa.
That's very cute. I would just like to say I've heard some of these voice recordings of KJ, my nephew, his son, talking about the Jets. He's a disrespectful Dolphins fan, straight up.
Very.
His age protects him from getting the tongue lashing he deserves, but he is disrespectful. So I really hope you win.
Messed up. Now, is it on rookie mode? What is it? What are the Twitter link?
Hold on. Speedy, shout out to you, our producer. He's in the comments. He said it makes no sense as great as Pitts is. And here's where I disagree. I don't think so. And here's what I think. Because where have the Jets lacked? In playmakers for however many years. And it's still a need. It doesn't mean just because you're drafting a tight end that it's a bad thing. But he is not your average tight end. We haven't seen a tight end prospect like this that can actually change positions and become a wide receiver if a team wanted him to. When was the last time we really saw that? At this level. And it's not like he's a bad blocker either. Kyle Pitts is a total package. And I'm just saying, I don't expect them to draft him at 2. But also, this is my bias as a Gator fan, I would not be mad if they did.
See, I agree with Speedy. I think it doesn't make any sense. You're in the top two.
You don't think anything the Jets do makes sense?
No, I like the Salah move. What is it? You believe this unbelievable stuff? Cut him off.
Absolutely.
Ridiculous. Whatever. Anyway, no, I agree with Speedy because you're in the top two. First of all, I'm not even a huge fan of taking tight ends in the first round, but I'll agree with you that he's a very pioneer shaping the prototype for a tight end because he can play receiver too. But I don't see a scenario where they take anybody besides a quarterback. Sewell, the tackle. They need an offense. They need offensive line depth, especially you have Becton, who honestly looks like a hit for them. He looks like he could be really good. You need to build that offensive line. Or if you don't want to take a quarterback, if you don't want to build the offensive line, you could trade out to the team like the Panthers. I feel like would be dying to have Zach Wilson. But Pitts makes no sense for them because what does that do for you? That fixes.
What do you mean? What does that do? Any offense that gets Kyle Pitts is going to upgrade from day one.
The Jets don't need to upgrade; they need to revamp. This is a team that.
But that's what they've been doing. Have Corey Davis?
Yes. But they got Corey Davis. So what? Why are you going to bring in another? Why would you bring in Pitts, a tight end at number 2? That's just foolish to me. It doesn't make any sense.
Because the Jets' offense has been the problem for, what'd you say, Steph, the last, 5-6 years, maybe? 7 years?
Yeah.
Being generous.
Roughly. I agree with Deck, though. I mean, two, it's a little tough to take Pitts there. I know that he's a weapon. It's kind of like in any fantasy draft. There are players that are really good, maybe at 15 or 20, that if you took in the top 10, it would look kind of foolish. They can produce for your team, but the talent that you have there, and especially when you think about needs, you want to weigh that a little bit more. So I would really like Pitts, but when you weigh your needs and having a Corey Davis already, Pitts with a tight end, our tight end position has been weak. It's been weak for a while. I mean, you can say the 1 year with I'm forgetting his name that came over from the Texans last 2 years ago, the tight end. But before that, it was really Dustin Keller to me that was a productive tight end. So I agree with Deck though in that 2 is just too high to take him.
I mean, part of this is my bias as a Gator fan, so there's that. So I'm admitted to my bias. Declan, you can learn something from that.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm not gonna take a tight end at 2 with my bias, but go ahead.
But Kyle Pitts is not your average tight end. That's all. I just want to make that very clear.
I've said that, but you know what, Keyshawn? This is what I go back to. Keyshawn Johnson, when the Jets took him number 1 overall, I believe it was at 94. This was a rebuilding team that decided to take a receiver at 1. Keyshawn Johnson is an excellent wide receiver. He was a great wide receiver, and I don't think anybody should be shy to say that. But they had to trade him at some point. At some point, it wasn't working.
You're also looking at 2 very differently built Jets teams. That it's not even a comparison to those teams.
Rich Kotite and Adam Gase. That is a very
no. I'm talking about because now you're not talking about Rich Kotite. You're not talking about Adam Gase. You're talking about Robert Saleh, and you're talking about the team he's building.
I understand that.
Go ahead.
We're building from 2 and 14, which is the ground up. But go ahead, Steph.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of football. We are running over. So Francisco Lindor, obviously a huge acquisition during the offseason that the Jets acquired him and Cookie. But Francisco Lindor has not been signed yet. They're in talks right now. There are some talking heads out there that believe maybe you wait on signing Lindor until you see something from him, not signing him in during the spring training season and seeing what he does, getting some production out of him, seeing how he acclimates himself to an NL East as opposed to an AL Central. And there might be some merit to it. The reason we want to talk about it is because come 2022, you have some marquee shortstops that will be available. Javier Baez, Carlos Correa, Corey Seager, and Trevor Story. So to pull up the Brinks truck for Francisco Lindor before seeing something could be a little, premeditated, a little too early. But I want to know what you guys think. Greg, what are your feelings? How do you feel about Francisco Lindor? Do you want to pay him now?
I absolutely want to pay him now. I want to get the deal done now, and here's why. Francisco Lindor is easily a top 5 shortstop in all of baseball. And
top 3, in my opinion.
He could even be argued that he's top 3. And one of the things the Mets have lacked over the years, and even going back to their World Series appearance in 2015, is defense. And Francisco Lindor brings an aspect that the Mets have not seen in a long time that is so needed. He's a great clubhouse guy. But furthermore, what paying him now does is shows other guys that will want to come here like, hey, we take care of our guys. All right. If you want to be here, we want you here. And I think that's also understated in sports where other players around the league look at how organizations treat star players as opposed to see where they're going to come. And I think out of that class you just mentioned, he's the best two-way player out of all of them. Like Trevor Story may have the better offensive numbers, but I don't view Trevor Story defensively the same way I view Francisco Lindor.
Like, you guys might jump down my throat for this, but I really do, and I sincerely believe it. I have Lindor as the best shortstop in baseball right now. I really do, and I think the defense has a lot to play with it. I mean, I think like Trevor Story is I probably have him at 2-3. Trevor Story is a hell of a guy, player. That means, but at Coors Field is another thing, and
yes,
Speedy just said in the comments. Coors Field is another thing, and I don't think his defense compares to Lindor, even though he is a really good defender. He throws the ball 100 miles per hour across the infield. Seager's coming up with World Series performance that was excellent. Playoff performance that was great. He really came back from, he had Tommy John a few years ago. He's really solidified himself to better than he was before the injury. So he's up there. Correa, I think, has kind of dropped a little bit.
Yes,
but I do think he's still a top 5 shortstop, but he's dropping. And honestly, the stock on him, I really feel like is kind of lowering.
I agree with Correa. Also, one thing that we don't talk about enough with Francisco Lindor, he can steal you 20 to 30 bases a year, and that's a lost art in baseball.
Sneaky 2020.
Yeah,
or 30-20, like Declan said.
40-20, 40-20. Honestly, we've seen him do it before.
I think he's maxed out at 34 home runs,
34, 38.
It's
And then this is someone in the 30s.
I'm pretty sure it's 38 and then 25 stolen bases or something. I'm not sure.
But here's the thing. Francisco Lindor has never had the protection in a Cleveland lineup outside of Jose Ramirez that he's going to have in this Mets lineup. So I expect big things from him. You pay him now, and I think you settle all the media frenzy of, Francisco Lindor is going into a slump, because every baseball player goes into a slump at some point of their season. Do you think he deserves the money? And then it takes away from what the team is doing as a whole, because the team could be winning, but Francisco Lindor is in a slump, and that'll be the focus. We don't need that.
Yeah, I love him hitting 2 behind Conforto. Sorry to jump you.
No, it's perfectly fine. I agree with that as well. I mean, Francisco Lindor has lit up in spring training 2 games ago. It was just it was a really productive inning that they had. They put up about 3 runs, I think, or 4 runs, but Francisco Lindor is a huge part of that. He had 38 home runs in 2018.
And 25 stolen bases, so I was right on it.
Yeah,
so
30-20.
He could be a 40-30 guy. Even
I agree with that. I think the approach should be, especially when not you have Cohen as your owner and he wants to spend, it shouldn't be a question how much you want to spend. But if they are looking at this as trying to be a little economical with the money, there is the approach that you would have to look at it, because I agree with you guys, but objectively, if we're looking at this situation, you could still get a very productive shortstop at a lesser price point, and that money could be diverted elsewhere, to help your organization out. And I understand it from that aspect, but the intangibles are what's important to me with Francisco Lindor. He's the kind of guy, when you put him as the cornerstone of your organization, like, fans rally around him, the team rallies around him. He is what David Wright was for what David Wright was for the Mets.
That's a great point.
Like, if you pay him now, he's someone that locks in, because I think he's just such a good guy, right? That if he got paid now and he saw that the Mets wanted him and saw him and valued him, he would be all in for that team and for his players. So I think that the intangibles are important when you talk about Francisco Lindor. Offense is obviously there. His defense is stellar. When I look at the situation objectively, I can see them trying to get a shortstop with similar value at a lower price point, but you have the bankroll now. This is what we talked about, off season. What is Cohen going to do? You pay this man and you bring him in and make sure that whether he wants to have a long-term contract, 10 years, maybe wants something 4 or 5 years and wants to come back out of this, go back into the market when he's still, under 30. Either way, you pay him and you get him in a situation where the Mets can thrive now and have a stalwart shortstop, and defense that is lacked for years now.
Yeah, and also that puts a damper on things if you don't sign him, because this is a season where the Mets are going to be in contention for the NL East, and they're going to fight and they're going to try to make the playoffs. That's their goal. Their goal is to go far, And it puts a damper if you don't sign him now. And that's kind of why I made a prediction in the sports hit list a couple of weeks ago when I said that I think that the Mets will sign Lindor before spring training is over. And then now recently, since that, he's come out and said, if I'm not signed by spring training, I'm going to go into free agency. It's not fair to me to be negotiating a deal with management during when I'm playing in between games. So I totally think he's right for that. I don't think he's wrong at all. And I think this is on the Mets. If they can't sign him in spring training, I think it's just bad for business. And you just moved a ton of pieces to get him in a trade that I think we can all agree was really good for the Mets.
Yes.
I think the Indians, or Cleveland, whatever they're calling them now. I know it's the Indians for another year, but I mean, they could have got more for Lindor, and now you're getting him, and you're getting Carlos Carrasco, who is getting a little older. But yeah,
still
I think
a great pickup.
Totally agree. It's bad for business if you don't sign him now.
Yes, I agree with that.
My last point before we wrap up here, Steph, is what you said about salary. If this was a hard cap league, I would say you're 100% correct. But being that there's no real salary cap in baseball, pay that man. What does Jerry Maguire say? Show me the money. That's what Francisco.
Show me the money. Show me the money.
Yeah, that's what his agent needs.
Show me the money, Jerry. What numbers wise though? What do you guys think he's going to get? Because we saw Betts get 13,380.
I would say because he's 27 now. If he got anywhere at 6 years between 250 and 300, I'm fine with it.
I think it's above 300 mil, to be honest with you. I think 300 is the starting point that you start that negotiation with.
At 6 years though, because that's $40 million a year.
Yeah,
6 years at 250.
I would say you climb to 8 years, 320 is 8 years, 310.
Yeah, not at 6 years. Not at 6 years. It's 8 to 10 years to me.
I don't want to give out an 8 to 10 year contract. I would give out a 6-year contract with a 7th-year option.
I'm sorry. I just need to know, why wouldn't you give Francisco Lindor an 8 to 10 year contract?
Because he'd be 35 probably.
Yeah, that's why. That's why.
That's fair though. I would give him 7. I think
he's 27. If he's 24, I give him an 8-year contract. 8 to 10.
Dude, if he's 24, I give him a 10 year. To be honest.
But
27, I don't want to give more than 6 years with a 7-year option.
I guess at 35, I understand someone's arguments at a position where it requires more athleticism. However, you front end or instead of backloading those contracts where you're spending a lot of money for someone that isn't as productive, you manipulate the contract the way you want to. If he was seeking that kind of like 8-year to 10-year deal, that wouldn't be a deal breaker for me, because what Francisco Lindor is going to give you on your front end with a team that can win now, why would you not lock him in and say, oh, well, I at 8 years, 10 years, yeah, you're going to be 34, 35. We'll pay you when you're giving us the numbers that we want, and then on the back end, make it a little bit lighter so it doesn't hurt us as much.
But the contract's built different. Sorry, Greg, but like when Albert Pujols got signed to that monster deal where he was going to get more money, like that was a bad contract. As great as Pujols is, that was a bad contract for the Angels. So I see why Greg doesn't want to fall down the rabbit hole. That said, Mookie Betts, Bryce Harper, Manny Machado, now even Tatis, all these guys are signing these long-term deals where they're going to be locked in. At 27, I'm fine giving him an 8-year deal. The guy's going to get paid. He's going to want to get his money. He's Francisco Lindor. I mean, he's been producing almost every year of his career except the 60-game season, which nobody should put that much stock into.
Never.
I mean, also, you kind of conflated a few things there because Tatis is 22. So if he signs a 14-year deal,
but how old is Betts? Betts signed a 23. Not a 23-year deal, 13-year-old, a 13-year deal last July. How old is he?
Let's see.
Getting it right now.
All right.
I'm getting it right now.
He's 28. He's 28.
Yeah, so he's 28.
And I think that's going to come back to bite them. I do.
But if the Dodgers go on to win several World Series due to Mookie Betts, why would you say it kills them? Like, we have to stop thinking about it as, in 10 years, he's going to be so old. If they gave you what you wanted in the front end when they were young still, then that contract is more than worth it.
That's a fair point.
The notion you're over here touting a media narrative that you would usually be against.
You know what? I will concede you're 100% correct.
Oh my God! Serious.
If Francisco Lindor can get the Mets a World Series in general, or even more, in the front end of that contract, I'm fine with him getting 8 to 10 years.
I agree. What a nice
I
way
think
to
we
end
can end the show right there.
Yeah,
What a nice way to
I was
end
gonna
the show.
say that is the show. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. We went a little bit over. For all the baseball fans there, hope you enjoyed it. Francisco Lindor, we want him to be signed by the Mets before the season starts. This is Smoke and Mirrors. Thank you again for watching. We're on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, presented by the Sports Hit List. I'm your host, Stephen Polius, alongside my fellow hosts, Declan Krogman and Greg Polius. Hope you have a lovely weekend. We'll see you again on Monday. Take care.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.